The courtroom was filled that Tuesday morning, just a regular day in Providence Municipal Court, until Judge Frank Caprio announced the next case and everything shifted. A man approached, gave his name, and suddenly the judge who had witnessed everything fell completely silent. What followed left every person in that courtroom without words and showed us why certain obligations can never be fully settled. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we explore this amazing true account of recognition, thankfulness, and an unforeseen courtroom event, let me know in the comments, have you ever had someone identify your family name and tell a story that transformed everything? Press that subscribe button because tales like this one should be preserved. Providence Municipal Court runs precisely every weekday morning. Judge Frank Caprio, now in his 80s, has overseen this court for over 30 years. He has encountered every kind of case, listened to every explanation, and observed both the finest and poorest of human behavior. But that Tuesday morning in March, something occurred that would deeply affect him. The courtroom was more crowded than normal. Traffic offenses, parking citations, minor violations, the usual Tuesday schedule. Judge Caprio proceeded through cases with his distinctive mix of insight, wit, and empathy. An older woman unable to pay a parking penalty had it canceled. A young man who committed an innocent error received another opportunity. Then came case number 47, a basic speeding offense. Nothing out of the ordinary about it. 15 miles per hour over the limit on Route 95. The accused was a man in his early 50s dressed in a neat button-up shirt and dark trousers. He approached the stand with the calm assurance of someone who had confronted much greater difficulties than traffic court. "State your name for the record," Judge Caprio stated, without glancing up from his files. "Michael Anthony Torino, Your Honor." The judge's pen ceased moving. His head gradually rose from the papers. The name lingered in the atmosphere like a memory from a different era. Judge Caprio gazed at the man, his look changing from ordinary focus to something much more profound. Recognition blended with shock. The courtroom grew uncommonly still. Those familiar with Judge Caprio could tell something was different. His aide, Maria, who had collaborated with him for 15 years, had never observed him respond this way to a mere name. "Slowly, Torino," the judge said again slowly, nearly to himself. "Michael Torino." The defendant appeared confused, but polite. "Your Honor, that is right." Judge Caprio set down his pen completely now. His hands, aged from years of wielding gavels and endorsing documents, shook almost unnoticeably, pensive. "Son, I must inquire something, and I hope you will excuse an elderly judge for becoming personal. What was your father's name?" Michael stood a bit straighter, clearly curious about the direction. "Anthony Torino, Your Honor. He died 12 years ago." The transformation in Judge Caprio was instant and deep. The color left his cheeks, and briefly, this man who had presided over courtrooms for many years appeared exposed, nearly delicate. Bailiff shared looks. The court reporter stopped typing. "Anthony Torino," Judge Caprio said softly. "Big Tony was in construction, had enormous hands, and a booming laugh." Michael's eyes grew wide. "You knew my dad?" What followed would become a famous story in the Providence legal community. Judge Caprio rose slowly, an action he seldom took during hearings. When he spoke, his voice held the burden of old feelings. "Know him, young man? Your dad rescued me." The court was now utterly still. Even the normal rustling of documents and quiet chats had ceased. Everyone felt they were observing something remarkable. Judge Caprio came down from his platform, moving toward the defendant's stand, an action that was extremely rare in his court. Rules be forgotten. This was more important than process. It was 1987. He started, his voice firmer now, yet laden with feeling. I was a young attorney then, not yet a judge. I was representing a client in a construction accident lawsuit, a laborer who got hurt when scaffolding fell at a downtown work site. Michael paid close attention, his traffic ticket now ignored, as were all other cases temporarily. Your father was the supervisor on that project. Big Tony, they named him. He was meant to be a witness, but I sensed he was anxious about it. Construction workers, particularly the Italian men from Federal Hill, they did not always have faith in attorneys or the legal system. But Tony was special. The judge halted, absorbed in the recollection. The evening before the trial, I was departing my office late. It was around 10 at night. I was heading to my vehicle in that parking area behind the old courthouse on Doran Street. You recall that place? How dark it became? Michael nodded, though he was just taking in every syllable. 3 men came toward me. I could detect liquor on them, and I could see the fury in their stares. They recognized me, knew I was representing the injured worker. They did not want that lawsuit to proceed to court. They wanted me to abandon it. Judge Caprio's voice became quieter, more forceful. They were not requesting, son. They were demanding. And when I said no, well, let's just say the discussion became physical. The courtroom was so silent you could detect the old building's furnace whirring. I was on the pavement. One of them held a metal pipe. I truly believed that was the end for me. I was going to perish in a parking lot for attempting to assist an injured laborer obtain fairness. Michael's hands had unknowingly tightened into fists as he heard, and then suddenly came this voice, deep, thundering with that heavy Federal Hill accent. Hey, you pieces of trash, step back from him. Your dad showed up like a guardian angel. 6'2", maybe 240 pounds of solid muscle from years of labor and construction. Judge Caprio's eyes were shining now, revisiting the memory. Those 3 guys took a single glance at Big Tony and fled. They didn't just leave, they ran. Your father lifted me up, brushed me off, and checked if I was all right. When I expressed my gratitude, his reply? Michael shook his head, captivated by the story. He stated, nobody should suffer harm for acting correctly. Counselor, you go succeed in that case tomorrow. Then he simply walked off. Judge Caprio dried his eyes, unconcerned that a full courtroom was observing. I won that case, Michael. The hurt worker received the payment he was due. His family kept their house. His children remained in school, all because your father provided me the bravery to continue battling for justice. The emotional intensity in the space was tangible. Many spectators were drying their own eyes. But that isn't the conclusion, Judge. Caprio went on. 1 week later, Tony visited my office. He sought no public attention, no prize. He merely wished to confirm I was fine. We spoke for 2 hours that afternoon. He shared with me about his family, about you. You were just a teen back then. He was immensely proud of you, son. So very proud. Michael's voice was heavy when he finally responded. He never shared this story with me. That was your father. He didn't perform good acts for applause. He did them because they were correct. But you know what? He did tell me that day he mentioned he wished the day when you were grown, you'd grasp what it meant to defend people who couldn't defend themselves. Judge Caprio stared right at Michael. He said he was bringing you up to be superior to him, which seemed unattainable to me because I'd never encountered a finer man. The judge halted, steadying himself. I attempted to locate him years afterward when I was appointed a judge. I wanted to thank him appropriately, perhaps arrange something special for your family, but by that time he'd relocated and I lost contact. I always felt sorry about that. Honor, Michael uttered softly. My father would tell me tales about his job, about the individuals he encountered. He always said that assisting others was more significant than cash or fame. I wish I had been aware of this. Judge Caprio went back to his bench, but his attitude had utterly changed. This was no longer merely a judge handling a traffic matter. This was one person respecting another's heritage. Michael Anthony Torino, he declared, officially. You are present today for a speeding offense, 50 miles per hour over the limit on Route 95. Yes, Your Honor. Son, I need you to comprehend something. The obligation I have to your family can never be settled. Your father didn't just rescue my life that evening. He preserved my career, my capacity to deliver justice in this courtroom for more than 3 decades. Every case I have been told that every individual I have assisted, each instance of justice I have been able to deliver, all of it is due to the bravery of Big Tony Torino. The judge lifted his gavel, but rather than banging it, he simply held it, considering his words with care. Some may argue that justice ought to be impartial to personal relationships, but I will share with you the lesson Big Tony imparted to me that evening. Occasionally, doing the correct thing involves prioritizing human compassion over formal rules. He gazed directly at Michael. Case dismissed. The fine is canceled. The points are erased from your record, and the violation is cleared. However, I am not taking this action solely because of what your father did for me. Michael appeared puzzled. Sir, I am doing it because of your own actions since that time. My bailiff conducted a background check while we were speaking. Standard practice. Would you like to inform the court about your profession, Mr. Torino? Michael seemed self-conscious. I work as a paramedic, Your Honor, Providence Emergency Medical Services. The judge grinned, a broad, sincere smile that changed his whole expression. 22 years of service, 17 commendations, 3 life-saving awards. You have personally rescued 43 lives while on duty. The courtroom broke into spontaneous clapping. Michael looked astonished. You see, son, your father was correct. He did bring you up to be superior to him, although I still believe that would be almost unachievable. You have dedicated your life to defending those who could not defend themselves, exactly as he did. Judge Caprio stood up one last time. Big Tony Torino saved one life 37 years ago. Mine? His son has saved 43 lives since that time. I would say that obligation has been repaid with interest. The emotional effect on all those in the room was profound. Court officers, defendants awaiting their cases, regular spectators, everyone realized they had observed something remarkable. Mr.
Torino, Judge Caprio, finish. Drive carefully. Your father would be proud, and this community requires you to continue doing your work. As Michael stepped away from the podium, Judge Caprio shouted out one final time, "And Michael, thank you for all your family has provided to this city." That day, in Providence Municipal Court, became famous.
News traveled fast through the courthouse, then the city, and finally the globe via social media and news reports.
It was not merely about a traffic citation being thrown out. It was about the strength of thankfulness, the cycle of service, and how a single courageous deed can have effects for many years.
Judge Frank Caprio has always been recognized for his empathy and justice, but that day served as a reminder to all why certain individuals become more than simply government employees.
They become emblems of humanity's finest qualities. Michael Torino keeps working as a paramedic in Providence. He still drives Route 95 to his job each day. And each time he goes by that courthouse, he reflects upon it, his dad, and the magistrate whose existence Big Tony rescued, using only bravery and moral strength. And Magistrate Caprio, he now displays a little framed picture on his table, a building site image from 1987 that Michael gave him the next week. In that picture, Anthony Big Tony Torino poses alongside his work team, beaming that expansive grin his son recalled. Occasionally, the strongest obligations are not monetary, they are personal. And occasionally, fairness is not solely concerning statues. It concerns affection, heritage, and the bravery to act correctly, particularly when unseen. If this account touched you, pass it along.
Inform other people that valor does not always put on a uniform or possess a shield. Occasionally, it simply appears in a parking area at 10 in the evening and declines to allow wickedness to triumph. What action would you take if you encountered a person whose relatives had transformed your existence? Share with us in the remarks.
And remember to sign up for additional accounts that show us why humankind is deserving of our faith.